Major breaking news around us this morning, and it comes from the NBA. And here is what we know. Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have both been arrested as part of FBI investigations into sports gambling. Billups' arrest was part of a separate case, but it was related, linked to an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. That, according to reporting from ABC News. At the core of Rozier's arrest is a game from March of 2023 that saw an uptake of Rozier bets coming in on the under. Rozier left that game just 9 minutes in, citing a foot injury. He had previously not been accused of any wrongdoing. Shams was all over this story, as you might expect, as are others. Shams will join us in about 15 minutes with the very latest, and we are efforting further information from our NBA reporters and others. As soon as there is any further information that we can bring you responsibly, we will do so as quickly as possible.
Juicy! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Nerd Chronicles with your host, the socially awkward nerd Christian Paul speaking. And ladies and gentlemen, the block has been extremely hot for the NBA. So much so that they need a come to Jesus moment in regards to what has been going down. Definitely over the past few weeks in regards to their couple of sports betting scandals recently. One definitely involving illegal sports betting within the league. That's basically the primary. And the other, although all definitely irrelevant to the actual NBA sport, it actually involved illegal poker gambling, right? You know, so it's like two separate cases that you've been dealing with many federal indictments, and there's a possibility there could be many more coming down the pipe, depending on what federal prosecutors investigate and depending on what the FBI mainly investigates, given those circumstances, given the evidence that has been basically developing at this time. So the block has been very hot. I believe I actually did the breaking news sometime last week around the time of this recording in regards with this. And it's a very, very shocking sight to see. And to actually just give a recap on both of the charges that actually mainly gone on, there's actually two that we'll definitely go over in regards with this. And then we'll come back to definitely the whole overview and like why I think really there's basically the whole point of definitely sports gambling or gambling in general, mainly as a whole.
The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery.
Now at 11, a Miami Heat player is out of jail after being arrested by the FBI. Terry Rozier is accused of taking part in a massive illegal sports betting scheme.
And he's not the only NBA superstar involved in the scandal. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Pastrana.
And I'm Elliot Rodriguez. CBS News Miami's Zakari Carrero is at the Kaseya Center in downtown Miami, where fans were expected to see Rozier take the court tomorrow.
Miami Heat fans will have to wait some time because the NBA has sat Rozier out because of this case. Now, the NBA star walked out of custody in Orlando just hours ago. His attorney calling this arrest a photo op and saying they are confident they will win this case. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier walked out of custody in a black hoodie and shorts and made his way to a black SUV waiting for him in the distance. The FBI took him into custody at the team's hotel in Orlando at 6 a.m. Thursday.
The fraud is mind-boggling.
The charges stem from his time with the Charlotte Hornets during the 2023-2024 season. According to the indictment, he sold the information to place fraudulent wagers in exchange for approximately $100,000, saying he would leave a game early due to an injury.
He had medical follow-up in the days after. He had a bunch of people that he appropriately confided in that he had an injury, and he didn't play another game.
The indictment also alleges Rozier told people to place bets on his own under. At one point, the Miami Heat player was being investigated by the NBA for a similar probe. He was cleared in that case. This is what he had to say back in September.
Nobody want to go through, be accused of anything, but right now it's just I feel like it's not a factor in my mind, and I can focus on playing basketball. I'm just happy I got a whole reset in the offseason.
His attorney says the FBI was looking for a moment by arresting his client.
They wanted to have a little arrest, a little perp walk, a little support of their press conference up in New York, and it was completely avoidable.
Also included in this case is Hall of Fame player and Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, who was seen walking out of custody, as well as former Miami Heat player Damon Jones. Both men are accused of participating not only in illegal gambling, but rigged poker games allegedly set up by Italian crime mob families out of New York. They're accused of luring people to play against the stars while using things like X-ray tables to cheat. As part of his bond requirements, Rozier had to put up his $6 million Florida home as collateral, surrender his passport, and provide a DNA sample. Of course, we will bring you the latest on this case on air and online. In downtown Miami, Nakaya Carrero, CBS News, Miami.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of the indictments that is dealing with illegal sports betting that was filed on October 16th, 2025 in Brooklyn, in which you have the United States of America versus defendants Eric Ernest, Mars Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, LeBron James' ex-teammate, De Niro Lasser, and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier. Okay? So, we look into the charges, right? You're seeing the backgrounds of who these defendants are. I don't have to really go too deep into that. And they basically just have charged them primarily in regards to illegal sports betting in the NBA. Right? And they give you like thorough description. NBA, it's the National Basketball Association in regards with this. So let's scroll, basically just scroll down a little bit further here. And you can see all this. I'm not going to read through all this stuff that's there. And they have relevant individuals, co-conspirators that's there that they use as witnesses. Federal prosecutors mainly use as witnesses. They could possibly charge them definitely later. But, you know, they choose not to charge them. They basically want to use them as either as witnesses or co-conspirators. You know, those are the ones that are granted mainly federal immunity. So we have other relevant individuals. Deontay Porter, we know he's been banned for life from the NBA. They have a bunch of co-conspirators who was a former NBA player, and you have a bunch of residents that's definitely there. And co-conspirator 5 was a relative of Shane Hennon. Co-conspirator 6 was a relative of Terry Rozier. Number 7 co-conspirator was a relative of De Niro Lasser. And co-conspirator 8, which we know to be Chauncey Billups, in which he was a former NBA player that played from 1997 through 2014 and was an NBA coach for the Portland Trail Blazers since 2021 up until his leave, right? And mind you, Chauncey Billups is a NBA champion as well. Now, we're going to speak with his case, basically in a separate video in regards with this. You have co-conspirator 9 that has the conspirator that's just clear, and he is known to the grand jury. So they have the background on sports betting, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to really go through all of this stuff that's there with fraudulent wagering. So basically they got Terry for illegal betting and rigging a game, and which took place on March 23rd, 2013, when Terry Rozier was a member of the Charlotte Hornets. So it's definitely one, and they all bet, place their bets illegally in regards with this. And I don't have to really go through all of these scrolling that's there. You could definitely read all that stuff for yourself in regards with this. And now they have the Portland Trail Blazers game on March 24, 2023, in which Chauncey Billups was the head coach around that time, giving people inside information. But, you know, some people just don't even know how to keep their mouths shut. I'm going to speak on that literally at the end of the video in regards with this. So the block has been hot, and now you have another bet coming from April 6, 2023 with the Orlando Magic game that came down, Los Angeles Lakers games. This is where Damon Jones leaked out information to other friends to actually try and bet on those games while he was an assistant coach with those games in which LeBron James was mainly playing. And I believe Damon Jones was actually letting the folks know that LeBron James is not going to be able to play around that time, and basically saying, hey, get a big bell Milwaukee tonight before the information is out. Player 3 is out tonight. Then they're referring player 3 as LeBron James, right? So they have all this information, payment, wages, amount of money, blah, blah, blah. And you see the Toronto Raptors games. So the actual charges, count 1, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. They got him for that. Count 2, conspiracy to commit money laundering. They got these guys for that as well. They got all these guys that are definitely there. And they say criminal forfeiture allegation. Basically, they have forfeiture. Any person convicted of such offense forfeit any property, real or personal concern derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of those offenses. So, if any of the above described visible property as a result of any act of misdemeanor, party can't be located upon the exercise of due diligence, transfer to the possible third party placed on jurisdiction, all this other stuff. It's intent to seek forfeiture of any other property defense up to the value of the forfeitable property that is equitable, that's described in this allegation. And they have criminal forfeitures that you see that's up there as well that talk about the same thing. So each count, according to federal prosecutors, if they convict them on this, it's basically a maximum sentence of 20 years per count. Very serious stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
New reaction to the gambling scandal rocking the NBA.
I'm ashamed that those guys would put their families and their careers in jeopardy.
Chauncey Billups, a Hall of Fame player and current coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat, both seen leaving court. They're among more than 30 people arrested, accused of running schemes that made millions by allegedly rigging sports bets and poker games. Billups and another former player, Damon Jones, are accused of working with the mafia, using their celebrity status to lure wealthy people to illegal poker games that were rigged.
Everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam.
The technology allegedly used in the scheme is like something out of Mission Impossible. The FBI says the suspects used special glasses and contact lenses that could read invisible markings on cards. Casino security expert Sal Piasante showed us some of the technology.
I can't tell you what that top card is, but if I pop in contact lenses, or if I'm wearing my poker glasses, when you look at that card through that filter, you'll see what that card is.
The FBI says the suspects also used card shufflers that were rigged and used what's described as an X-ray poker table that allowed them to see face-down cards through the felt on the table. They also allegedly used what's known as an analyzer. It looks like a cell phone, but when placed in front of a deck of cards, it uses a hidden camera to determine which player will win, no matter how well the deck is shuffled.
This deck is marked invisibly on the side with a barcode. So when this deck gets shuffled and gets placed onto the table, this camera right now is scanning those cards, and it's going to tell you automatically who's going to win.
The device correctly predicting the hand closest to the device will win.
And you win with a full house, 3s and 5s.
Experts say the sophisticated scheme shows that the mafia has modernized.
Everyone talks about the mafia getting smaller, going away. Mafia doesn't go away. They will change based upon the law and how they can make money.
In a separate indictment, Rozier was charged in connection with an illegal sports gambling scheme.
Terry Rozier, right foot discomfort, doubtful to return.
Prosecutors say during this game in 2023, Rozier, then with the Hornets, tipped off bettors that he would fake an injury and exit the game. Bettors placed more than $200,000 on him to underperform in the game.
The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash.
Rozier and Billups deny the allegations, their lawyers vowing to fight in court. With both men making millions in salary with their teams, many are wondering what would have been their motive to get involved in such a scheme.
How much more do you need? Especially if you know you get caught, you can do jail time, lose your career. Put a bad image on yourself or your family.
We have to realize gambling is an addiction. So the addiction of it is what makes you make illogical decisions.
Ain't got nothing to do with addiction. That's just total stupidity on these two dudes' parts. Now, the NBA previously investigated Rozier for that 2023 incident, but cleared him. Now, the league says it is cooperating with this investigation. As for Damon Jones, he has not responded to the allegations.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a different federal case in which federal prosecutors, have indicted both Damon Jones and Chauncey Billups for basically running illegal poker games alongside with mafia crime families, right? And I'll go dig into this indictment that was filed definitely the week before, on October 9th, actually, in which they really got Dame and Chauncey real good in regards to the scenario. We're going to talk about that indictment in a much different video in regards with this. But we're going to put our focus mainly on definitely sports betting and definitely gambling as a whole, definitely in a general sense, because I can't really go too deep into what the allegations. I can't really give an opinion on these guys or what they've done, because more will come out of the story in the months to come once those trial dates has been set in federal court up by Brooklyn, up by the Eastern District, New York, in which the trials, both of them, will take place. So I don't want to try and just assume any of these guys are guilty, because we don't thoroughly know. All I can say is, the federal prosecutors have done their thorough homework alongside with the FBI for years. Okay? A lot of juiciness, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to ask, the general public a question here. What, to me, and I'm me personally, I'm not really a personal gambler, but this is someone that's coming from an outside lens. What is really the purpose of actually gambling? And more times than not, you'll really lose much of the money that you're actually going to deal with. And your odds of actually trying to win much of the money is literally slim to none based on a hardcore chance. Even if you do hardcore analytics to see what the best odds are, you're still prone to this. If you are a professional athlete, and I get it, many of y'all mainly come in young, everything is just like in high overwhelmance. You have all this money coming at you in flashes down to the T. There are billionaires that own the team are willing to offer you, giving your skills and giving your talents. But, you haven't really gone to your financial advisor. You haven't really done your research with the statistics of your parents, finding the right agents, finding the right financial guidance advisors on how to actually properly manage your money. You couldn't even find proper mentors actually trying to help you do that. And I know some of y'all that haven't even seen any money in your life, some of y'all have been struggling literally dear bent, are looking for like a one-way ticket to start to try and get your family out of hell. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing that they hadn't really taught you is just literally like financial literacy, financial education on how to manage your money and how to invest your money. You know what I'm saying? And gambling is like a quick one-trip way out on how to quickly dilute and blow all your money away. All right? I know some of y'all that do have the competitive gene, you want to try and show who really boss. And sometimes y'all try and do gambling for like some stuff and thrills. But I do want to ask mainly some of y'all in regards to this. How much are you willing to lose in regards to that? And how much are you, when is the point that you're going to be willing to actually stop at some point? Because if you let your ego mainly get to the best of you, and if you want to try and find ways trying to help out folks up there, there's many other ways to literally help your supporter loved ones other than gambling, other than mainly rigging the game. When actually dealing with a professional game, once the integrity is tainted in regards with the professional game, the business could be at risk. Not many people may want to actually come support your league anymore because of all the stuff that y'all been doing. That's why you're seeing like a bunch of bans from professional leagues like MLB. You see a bunch of bans with Pete Rose, Jonte Porter, because of stuff like this. And once an irregularity is noticed by sports bettors and sports betting markets, the federal government will take notice. And when their money is messed up, and when the federal government notices that their money is messed up, they are going to go gung-ho on anybody that messes with their money or defraudulates their money, irregardless of race. You know what I'm saying? Definitely, especially black people. That's especially white folks. Anybody who messes with their money will get it years down the line. This is what unfortunately happened with Terry Rozier. This is what unfortunately happened with Damon Jones. Other perpetrators came by, and there's some college athletes that are under investigating because of stuff like this. And unfortunately, this is what happened with Chauncey Billups, although in a separate case, this is what happened with him as well, due to the fact that federal government money has been tainted in regards to this process. So I ask, why gamble? All that millions of dollars, all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you mainly earn just to gamble it away, that you could actually utilize it for something else, for other different investments, and gambling is not really a great investment to mainly begin with. So why do it? And to actually just go dig a little bit deeper, right, with Terry Rozier's situation, he's been dealing with like a tax lien while he was up in the state of Florida as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you, I'm sorry to actually just interrupt what I'm explaining in regards with this news, but this is the confirmation in regards with Terry Rozier's tax lien that he has failed to pay up since 2023. $8 million, ladies and gentlemen. $8 million. Very serious stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And now the attorney said they don't even owe the IRS in regards with this, but the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, placed a statement of a $8 million tax lien that has mainly came on in regards with this. And mind you, he signed the 4-year, $96 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets in 2021. That should be paying him literally over 20-something million dollars a year, right? But yeah, you can't even actually handle your tax lien setup. You won't even speak with your financial advisor in regards to paying your taxes. Come on, man. Come the F on, man. But why would even go through that? Why not just go pay your taxes? Why not invest your money? Why just not be smart with your money in regards with stuff like this? Just to make sure that you don't put yourself in this type of vulnerable situation. And I'm not saying this to be reactive in the case, because again, I don't fully know the whole situation. We don't really fully know about the whole stuff that's going on. The case will unravel itself as time goes on, guaranteed. But I'm just saying this to be proactive. Why put yourself in that type of position? In that type of vulnerable position where the fence can literally try and threaten your livability, threaten your lifestyle, put all yourself in jeopardy. And when they hit, and when they do their due diligence, they rarely, and I mean rarely, mince, because they get convictions at a rate of like a minimum 91 to 95% of the time, even with like elite lawyers. So again, I basically just tell y'all, I ask y'all, if you do gamble, just please be wise, okay? You know what I'm saying? Don't be up in a vulnerable position. And yes, the illegal poker scheme we're going to talk about on a different day. I'm actually going to go dig further deep into it, because when you let your ego get to the best of you and you're actually trying to find a way to make ends meet, because you don't have the money to actually pay for all that stuff, this is how the mafia can mainly actually come down. This can have all these linked up with all these illegal bookmasters or illegal bookings. I forgot the word. Forgive me, y'all. These illegal book draws they mainly have that got mafia connections. You could literally be in a situation where Chauncey Damon could be in, and unfortunately, you could get hit. If you do gamble wisely. Be smart on how much money you want to lose, and put a cap on that once stuff is done. Okay? Don't get yourself too hooked on that stuff, because you could literally be hooked on that stuff before you even know it and when you least expect it. All right? And I'm going to leave it at that in this one. Chris Paul from Nerd Chronicles is signing out. Deuces.